Sometimes we're blue, so give us something to do. Show it to us, Rachel! Ow!
Ooh, welcome to Show Me to Us, Rachel. I'm Nate.
And I'm uncomfortable. I'm Sam.
And we're neurodivergent.
Which means that we need to fill our time with
hyperfixations
to show us more about ourselves.
And to help us do that, every week we bring in a Rachel of the week to show us a new hobby or obsession that we know absolutely nothing about. Then we take a week and try it ourselves.
This week, our guest is Jenn Hessel. Hi, Jen.
Hey,
Jen.
how's it
How you
going?
doing? Good. Welcome. Tell us about yourself a little bit, and then tell us what you're talking to us about.
Yeah, how do you know us?
Yeah, thank you for having me. First of all, I got acquainted with Nate and Sam via a wonderful, wonderful theater company here in Chicago, A Short Leap. I got acquainted with one of the co-founders of A Short Leap, Josh Leeper, when we worked together on a show at the Athenaeum Center in, I want to say it's in like Lakeview or something. We were both in Dante 360.
Yes.
Yeah.
I used to live behind there.
It's a cute little neighborhood. That was quite the show. But yeah. And he mentioned in rehearsal one time, he was like, yeah, I'm like starting this like theater company. Like we should keep in touch.
Yeah.
Like you should come audition for us. And I was like, okay, sick. And then they asked me to do lighting design for their wonderful production, Friends with Guns. And I've been just kind of, in and out ever since. I don't know. And
Josh was on the podcast.
And hell yeah, I love that. I love that.
Most of shortly.
And I think I saw Nate at a few study sessions. I think that's where we first. And Nate and I just like.
Yeah, I think so.
We like. I feel like I encountered you at a few like theater events in the city before I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've both been around, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's hilarious is that I think as of currently recording, we have had more Short Leap people on our podcast than the actual Short Leap podcast.
There's a Short Leap podcast?
That's so funny.
Yeah, I think we just started. I think like there's one episode.
Yeah, we've had a lot of Short Leapers on the podcast.
Incredible.
Yeah, so we're really.
We need to put out some words.
We're the real Short Leap podcast. In fact, don't even listen to the other one.
Yeah, you know what? If you're on that fan base,
actions.
it's exclusive.
Yeah, I think Dakota hosts the other one. Real fun.
Nice.
But let's get on to business.
Yeah.
What? You're our Rachel of the Week. What are you here to talk to us about?
So there's this book series that I picked up about a year ago-ish at random when I was, perusing Barnes & Noble as one does. And, like, the thing is, when I was younger, I was, like, really into various fantasy series. But as I had gotten older, I had, like, kind of transitioned on down to genres. And then my friend read a different series by this author and had good things to say about it. And I was like, well, this is a different series, but it looks interesting. And it was funny because when I picked it up initially, I only thought that it was one book. I didn't know there was a series until it ended. And I was like, wait a second, what's going on here?
That's kind of awesome.
The rest?
That's kind of great.
And then I found there were
happy
8
discovery.
of them. I was like, all right.
8 of them.
But, so yeah, this is the one and only Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas, who is
Sarah
J.
Maas.
Okay. more well known for her other series at Guitar. I have never read that series. I had not done. Yeah, I had not known much about her before picking this up. And I got locked in because the main character is like absolutely incredible. Like.
Okay.
And apparently, too, this was, like, the first series that this author had ever, like, written and published. Like, the first, like, major series.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. She was, like, I want to say, like, late teens, early 20s. I was like, how are you? How are you that young writing something like this?
Okay, so give us like the I don't know, like the Netflix TV show description of like what this series is about.
Okay,
you know
yeah.
I mean? Like if we're just scrolling through.
Yeah. Okay, bet. so it's a series that starts off as one thing and it turns into something completely different because you in Throne of Glass. Even the main character's name changes, because in Throne of Glass, you find yourself with the one and only Selena Sardothian. She is a 18-year-old, 19-ish-year-old girl who landed herself in a, like, basically slavery, and is being roped out of it by the prince of a kingdom who's like in the process of conquering their entire like fantasy continent, right? Called Aurelia. You find out that Selena is an assassin because she was orphaned as a child, picked up like on the brink of death by this guy who happened to be a major crime lord. He raises her as his little protege. She becomes like a human weapon, really, and making just like a fuck ton of money as a young person in organized crime, really, is essentially the situation. And so she gets betrayed by her master, you know, the man who saved her life, and is like literally the most toxic father figure that I've literally ever seen ever. And so he betrays her. She ends up, you know, in slavery, and the love of her life is murdered horrendously, and a year later she gets brought out of it by the prince of a darlin that is conquering the continent, because his father is having a competition. Sorry, I put my phone down. I realized that it's not facing me.
No, that's awesome.
I'm like motioning my hands because I'm like trying to remember. But yeah, so he's having a little competition because he needs a new hitman, essentially. They're calling it the King's Champion, right? It's like, it's all dramatic. They're like, the king needs a new champion to, you know, go do his bidding and like, as basically assassinate his political enemies. So it's like a whole thing. And the prince gets his own little champion to throw in the mix. So he chooses this girl, right? And, you know, chaos ensues. The prince ends up falling in love with her. So does the captain of the guard. And it's like a whole love triangle situation. And then, you know, right. And then like, obviously she ends up winning this, you know, competition. And then as she's, you know, in the second book, as she's going through all of this, like, you know, all these things she's doing for the king, she's watching him, you know, conquer the continent, and her best friend, the princess from a kingdom who's being conquered, is working for a rebel alliance that's working against the king, and she knows that the girl, Selena, is actually the lost princess of the first major kingdom that got conquered by Aurelia, Terrasen. And
how much of a history does this woman have?
It's nuts because and then you find out, right, the king of Adarlan killed her parents, right? Hired someone to kill her parents, conquered her kingdom. That's how she got found by this crime lord. It's like, and then it's like, it's a whole thing. And then, oh my god, yeah. So it gets crazy after that, because then you get the whole process of her trying to get back her kingdom and accepting her real identity. You know, she loses the people she loves, but then it also spurs her into action, into essentially like taking back her kingdom and ending this like demon king that ends up being from another realm. And there's a whole magic system tied to this too, because of course she has magical fire powers, right?
Why wouldn't you?
But of course, you know, the king of Adarlan wiped out all of the magic wielders until they figure out how, and they release magic again, and then she uses her fire magic to basically take back her kingdom.
Is this all book one?
No, this is the whole series. But book three is when you find out. It's like end of book 2 into book 3 is when you find out that she's like this lost princess. Book 3, she goes to this fairy kingdom, right? Because of course there are fairies at Jenn Maas. She goes to this fairy kingdom.
Are they sexy fairies this time?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely they are. Yeah. You should look at some of this. You should look into some of this like Tumblr art that they got going on here.
I'm sure.
Absolutely nuts. But yeah, so. It's a really wild ride. There's so much that happens. One of the things that kept me going with it is that the character development is absolutely bonkers insane. Like,
okay.
There's another piece that's involved here is another character that's brought in on book 3, Man in Blackbeak. She's a witch, because of course there are also witches involved, right? They're also in this continent. They're working with the Demon King, right? And you know, they're major general, the heir to the Blackbeak witch clan, right? Like, Man in Blackbeak, I adore her. She ends up siding with the Queen of Terrasen to, like, you know, overthrow the Demon King. You know, she ends up betraying her grandmother and a bunch of witches. It's incredible.
Yeah, I always hate my grandma.
Now I gotta say, I have two things. One,
Any questions?
if I saw all of that when I was scrolling through
summary?
Netflix, I would watch.
I was thinking
immediately.
I was thinking the whole thing.
Immediately.
I was like, I want everything you just said as a Netflix summary.
And then two,
You hit more, and it's just like, boom.
It's like one of those like it's like one of those like Facebook posts or something. Those like AI ones where they're like, oh, like he just stood there and said what he had to say, or like, and then it's like a long narrative. Oh my god!
Yeah.
And the other thing is that I think it seems like almost every single episode we do of this podcast will like. At first, people are like, "Yeah, okay, here's my little thing," and you're like, "Oh, cool, what is it about?" And then they go, and that is exactly what
I love that. That's what this is about.
Amazing.
I was like, "Oh, we're doing something exactly right." Okay. I have so
I've got
so
a
many
lot of
questions.
follow-up questions.
You were saying like what you were talking about the writing, sort of, right, or the character development.
Mm-hmm.
How does that stick out in comparison to like other? Because do you read a lot of other fantasy too?
I do, yeah. I haven't in a while. I'm kind of like getting re-engaged with the genre, but she's always been close to my heart. Yeah, I love it.
I'm a big fantasy novel person, so this is I have a personal interest in this topic.
I love it. Yeah,
and you're talking about the character development.
Yeah,
right?
it's gorgeous because it's like you watch the pieces of a puzzle basically come together as the series develops. Like, you know, it takes place over such a short span of time, but like the insane circumstances that these people live through, like it really kind of binds them together, and like you watch each of them grow and like fulfill pieces of each other's destiny in a way that weaves such a wonderful little web. It's like really kind of nice the way it all comes together. And I also love that all of them are like kind of morally gray, you know, like none of them are like insanely perfect people. There are a few smaller characters that's like, no, you could do no wrong. But like a bunch of them will like irritate you or disgust you at some point, but like in a way that's deeply intriguing. You know what I mean?
Right. And is it like, what kind of perspective is it? Is it just from the perspective of the main character?
There are so many perspectives, but like she eases you into it because she gradually grows the number as the series goes on.
That's smart,
actually.
Yeah. Because like, it's funny because it's like the first two, you pretty much get Selena's perspective, Kale, the captain of the guard, and then Dorian, the little prince that is bringing her out of slavery and putting her in this little challenge, right? And then you see their relationships develop, you see the friendships that they each build and how they intertwine. And then book 2, you kind of follow the same set of characters. Book 3, you get like 2 or 3 new perspective. Well, 2 right away. A third kind of is thrown in later on in the series. and then you know, it kind of gets she adds 1, maybe 2 each time. So, and then by the end, you've had the same amount by like 6 and 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, it's wild.
I got it. Have you read ACOTAR? This might be a slight change of subject.
I have not. No, this is the only Sarah J. Maas series I've ever read.
Because I tried, and I'm a big audiobooker. I tried ACOTAR. This is gonna sound harsh. There are a few books that I have explored that I've like viscerally disliked.
Oh,
and I really did not like ACOTAR.
That's fair.
And I won't get too far into it, but I'm curious to explore this one and see if it's different.
Yeah,
in ways that I might like.
I've heard that it's like a different vibe. I don't know.
Okay.
At least from my friend that has read both ACOTAR and Throne of Glass.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, and I feel like a lot of like, I feel like a lot of authors kind of have like, I would say, maybe this is just like a crazy broad stroke or something, but I feel like generally earlier books somewhat better.
Yeah.
Like in terms of like authors that write a lot of books over a long period of time.
No,
Like
absolutely.
I feel like generally the earlier ones are better. So maybe this has like that kind of like because there's not like fame hasn't like poisoned their minds yet.
Right. They're doing it because they want to write a book, not because they want to make or need to make money or anything.
Yeah,
maybe.
exactly.
Exactly.
I don't know.
But so you said you got into it by just kind of stumbling upon it at Barnes and Noble? Okay.
Yeah, I was
And
just
what-
like wandering around.
That's
I was
awesome.
with a friend of mine, and she was like, "You should read it." I was like, "Okay."
Hell yeah. And you said, like, what's probably like one of your favorite things about it? You said character development's a big one.
Yeah, character development's a huge one. I think the way that she kind of throws in little hints to future plot twists, but doesn't make it super obvious. So then when the twist happens, you're thinking back, you're like, oh, wait, they did mention this earlier. And I just completely forgot. Because it seems so small and insignificant. So bring up small and insignificant things, and it's like... Because I've noticed that when in my reread, you know, as one does. In my reread, I've noticed certain things. But yeah, and I like the development of the romantic plot lines too. Those are nice. The characters are very fully fleshed, and like none of the romances. I mean, you know, the characters will irritate you at times, but none of the romances are like I'm all pro them. There's no ones because sometimes you read books and you're like, oh, this couple is horrible for each other, but there are major plot lines so you can't escape them. I like all of these.
It's an interesting fault of romantic writing. Like it says a lot about an author when they write a romance, like what they value in relationships.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, and I feel like fantasy romance payoffs feel so good.
Yeah, because it's
I know
always
exactly
like a
what you're
build
talking
up.
about.
Well, the build up, and then I feel like often, I don't know if it's like this in Throne of Glass, but there's often like a lot of restraint involved.
Yeah.
That's what makes it
class
sexy.
and elitism and you know, not going out of line and there's a lot more like, I don't know, like there's generally like a code of ethics or conduct within like the royalty or something, and so it like Sam knows what I'm talking about because I recently just read the first Stormlight Archive book.
One of my that's my all-time favorite series.
Have you read
got
that?
it
I
on
haven't, but I've heard
tattoo.
good things.
Highly recommend.
I won't get too into it, but there's
I
a
will.
huge romantic payoff in that's just like the lightest little thing, and then it all like everything I'm talking about happens on like one page, like page
my
like
gosh.
1,000 or something.
Sanderson,
And you're just like,
Oh, that's nuts.
That author's also less so now, but he used to be like staunchly Mormon, so that man knows restraint.
Yeah, dear Lord. I can imagine.
well, now my next question too is I was going to ask you kind of alluded to this when we initially reached out to you, but what don't you like about Thrones of Glass? What should we kind of watch out for or be aware of?
Oh, I mean, I guess there's some like tropes that like could be considered problematic. I've seen people like kind of try to break this down like in like various videos on TikTok and Instagram as I've perused in the late hours of the night, you know, as one does.
Yeah. Book talk is crazy.
And book talk is the Wild West. Like it's insane over there.
Especially for like romantasy, book talk goes nuts.
Yeah.
It's just a bunch of horny nerds going crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. But like for instance, like one of the characters, so the best friend of the main character that's working with the rebels, right? She is like the sacrificial lamb character because in the second, this is kind of a spoiler, but like spoil it. In the second book, she's.
Jen, I think we're far past that now.
We'll put a tag on the episode
But
description.
a big like triangle with a little exclamation point and sign warning. Here's where the spoilers begin.
Spoiler alert now is crazy.
Chris Pendulum's sitting there like, God damn it, I was gonna read that.
Dang it.
We're sorry, Chris.
But like the best friend of the main character, she's like staying in the palace at the same time as this whole challenge is going on. She's a princess and a diplomat for her kingdom that's currently kind of getting conquered. She's in the south part of the continent. She is like the only black character for a long time. and she's like the one that plots her own death and basically like puts the gears in motion to kind of like plan her own death, and then like somebody kills her, and like that's really the thing that like spurs the main character into accepting her identity as this lost princess and her responsibility and her destiny to save her kingdom and, you know, drive the Demon King into hell, whatever. So that is kind of like, okay, that's kind of a problematic trope a bit. But like, you also have another, you have more POC characters in like the sixth book, I believe. Tower of
Book
Dawn.
6.
Yeah, it's because that's like one of the only ones.
Took a second.
And, but then you know, there's another sort of problematic, like some people have kind of interpreted this specific aspect of the romance between the main character and her main love interest, Prince Rowan Whitethorn.
Oh yeah,
one of my favorite characters. Fucking love him. And but he's like described as being like he's full fae. Like she meets him when she goes over to the Fae Kingdom after her best friend dies, and the captain of the guard sends her on a mission over to this like fairy kingdom, right? As one does. And she meets him and they fall in love as he's mentoring her, whatever. Love those two. But he's described as being like Tanner, and so some people think that fulfills the exotic lover trope, so like he's, I guess, could be considered a POC character, but like he's not the only fae that they encounter. There's other fae characters that then become extremely relevant as the series progresses, and he's not like one of the good ones. Like it's not like fae are like horrible characters that like he's like, oh, one of the good ones. Like no, fae are like a little more complex. I think in ACOTAR you run into the problem of like all of the fae being described as like these horrible like stereotypes and all that jazz, but
sexy monsters.
But like the fae are kind of
J.K. Rowling goblins a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. But you don't really fall into that in Throne of Glass. They're a little more like human-like. They just like happen to have special abilities, you know.
Okay.
So
when you were talking about the author at some point too, right? Like, is there was some sort of controversy with the author?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Was there?
So apparently, like Nobody knows where she really sits. You know, she's been criticized for like everything having to do with like the Israel and Palestine conversation, because apparently she posted about going on Birthright, but she's never been openly Zionist. She has, and I just don't know about it. So that's partially a thing. And then there was an instance of I want to say in like it had to have been 2020. I think it was 2020. The author she tried to do like a memorial post on Instagram for Breonna Taylor, but then at the bottom of it was like promoting her book at the same time. So like that was kind of distasteful and like weird.
That's so bad it's kind of funny.
Right. And it's like
that's so really
distasteful.
bad.
It's like, girl, what? Like, and
what
like
an oversight.
There were just so many things that I
so
like
bad.
found out about this author after I like started reading the book, and I was like, Jesus Christ, what do I get myself into?
Yeah, God. I mean, we're no strangers to. I mean, we did Stephen King a few months ago, and he's interesting. He's kind of he's got some funky stuff here and there. Mm-hmm. Like he'll just say something really weird sometimes, and you're just like, what are you?
Yeah.
There is always one part of every one of these episodes where we talk about the problematic origins of whatever the interest is, because almost all of them do. Like,
tends to happen. Yeah.
Except for like sewing. Like so, I'm sure if you rooted through sewing's history enough, you could find could find something.
Yeah, there's probably something. Well, okay. So I mean, we're gonna dive into this for. You know, for a week or so. I think we'll just do. I think we'll just do one book each day, and then I think we'll be caught up to you.
Nice.
I'm kidding.
Each day.
There you go. Yeah.
Sam's like.
I zoned out for a second. I was like, yeah.
So yeah. How should we like? Obviously, I'm sure we'll read like at least a few chapters of the first book to kind of get a feel for the writing. But like, how are there any other ways we could get into it? Like, are there like you were talking about like people on TikTok or creators? Like, is there like in Tumblr stuff? Is there like a world and a fandom that we can expose ourselves to somehow?
Oh, there is so much. There's so much. So you can you know Throne of Glass, you look up the characters' names on TikTok, you'll find a bunch of stuff. Tumblr, you'll find a ton of fan art. You'll cool. Find I think TikTok and Tumblr are like the two biggest places I think for that. Probably Instagram. Instagram's got some good stuff. But yeah, there's very much like an online fandom surrounding this thing. Maybe even YouTube has like summaries. I don't know. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we're taking notes.
Check out online fandoms.
That'll tell you all you need to know about the characters, really.
Well, like I'm trying to. Often with new book series, I feel like it's hard to kind of convey like a whole sprawling epic and just like talking about it with someone. Is there like another character from like another like story or property or something that Selena is kind of like?
She reminds me of Shallan a little bit from Stormlight.
Yeah, she sounds a little bit. I don't know.
It's kind of hard because it's like she is very singular. I guess it's kind of like, ooh, really. I mean, I don't want to compare her to Harry Potter because I feel like that's such a basic like one. Because like they're very different.
It's like an archetype sort of.
It's quintessential.
Yeah, like very like chosen one with a responsibility.
Sure.
Oh, you could kind of compare it to like if you've seen Shadow and Bone, Alina in Shadow and Bone. Maybe just anyone really who like discovers like a magical power, and because of that they have like a duty to protect their home from this like existential threat. Yeah, Spider-Man. She's basically
Naruto.
their Peter Parker, but like if Peter Parker instead of webs had like flames coming out.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Sam, they were cooking.
Naruto.
They were cooking, and then you said Spider-Man.
And then instead of like like New York City or wherever he is, like it's just like this like kingdom.
Yeah, see? No, they get it.
Yeah.
Jen gets it.
I can't believe you're giving voice to his metaphor. How truly kind of you. Oh my god. Okay, cool. I'm really excited to get into this. I've also kind of been like not just getting back into fantasy, but kind of getting back into like reading.
Yeah,
I had like a long period where I didn't read. Yeah, and it's really kind of it's nice to get back into read. I read a lot of comics, which I think
nice.
Well, and for a similar reason of like having this payoff of like these long narratives where you get pieces very slowly, and then something pays off that you like read months ago, and you're just like, oh my god, that's like crazy.
Something in the first book gets brought back in like the 6th or 7th book, and you're like, that's one of my favorite things about like fantasy novels is it's such a uniquely long form of storytelling. Like you don't get that from like television very often, or movies or anything.
Yeah, especially in the age of like we don't have like 22 to 25 episode series anymore. Like it's just like 8 to 10 episodes. So like TV series don't even like get that deep into it anymore. So,
are there any like adaptations planned or anything?
I don't think so. I think there might. Not really. I think they'd probably do the HBO would probably do ACOTAR before anyone would do Throne of Glass.
Yeah.
And I just
I'm surprised they haven't because they could cash in.
Yeah, because here's the thing. But I think if they were to do that, I was literally talking about this with a friend of mine. If they were to do that, they would have to put like a Game of Thrones like budget into this shit. Like that's how elaborate it would have to be. It would have like they would have to do it well in order to make it good and make it watchable. Yeah. But I think that they'd have to change aspects of the main character to make her a better person because like she is a female main character at the end of the day, and I think that like other characters would also bring people in because it's really you get a whole ensemble by the end of the book. Like it starts with her, but you get a whole ensemble, and her name changes. She's Aelin for the rest of the series. But she goes from Selena to Aelin, and anyway, so
Throne of Glass, not ACOTAR, right?
Yeah, Throne of Glass, yeah,
okay.
And
okay.
But she's a very, very morally gray main character. Like, she does a lot of bad things that, she does for, not acceptable reasons, but, like, very oftentimes you get why she does it. Because you can also see her in her monologue, what she's been through, how she was raised. And she, like, you see her growth and you see her change over the course of the book. But I think that she starts off so morally gray that I don't think I think a lot of people would love her, but I don't think enough people to where it would be popular enough to command the budget that it would need. I think it would ultimately fall off, especially seeing what Netflix did with Shadow and Bone. That was
Was it bad? I thought Shadow and Bone was
It was good. They just cut it so early. They like abandoned it completely, and it had like good viewership, and they were like gonna have season 2, and like it was so sad. So
I feel like
Yeah, I guess that's
ACOTAR
the
would be
problem.
such a safe bet. Sorry,
it would be a safe bet. I feel
It's
like.
got such like a dedicated, like a huge fan base.
Yeah, I think it does, and it
guaranteed
has a
safe.
bigger fan base than Throne of Glass. I think so. I think they would keep it alive.
Well, and I guess it's almost like I think with big fantasy things too, it's hard to get in like a TV show. You kind of have to pull people in a lot earlier than you do with like a fantasy. Like if you're picking up a fantasy book, like inherently
You're
you're
ready
okay
for
with waiting a little
journey.
bit because you're carrying like a brick.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the time.
You know what you're getting
So
into.
Yeah, so there's like it is hard to. And the other thought I had was yeah, I feel like with fantasy stuff in particular, it's so hard to make an adaptation of anything, especially when you're dealing with any sort of magic. I really love all the Dark Materials books, but the problem with any sort of adaptation of those, every single person in that world has a demon with them, and like an animal demon with them, and so like if there's any crowd scene, like you're fucked. like the CGI goes out the window because everyone has to have an animal with them of some sort.
A lot of people at least in the Sanderson community, he's the one who wrote like Stormlight Archives and that entire like handful of series. A lot of people argue that a lot of his books should be adapted into animation, which is something that's like being talked about online for
interesting.
a lot, because it would maybe be cheaper. I don't know.
It solves that problem.
I think they could do that with Throne of Glass. I feel like if they did an animated, I think that could work.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think. Oh, so what'd you say?
No.
Sam's walking
Gets up and
away.
leaves.
Take a lap.
Too many times.
So we're actually almost at time. So we're gonna cut to us in a week or so, having checked out Throne of Glass ourselves. Any
get a
last
banjo
words about Throne of
moment.
Glass?
I will say, I guess the most apt way I could describe it is like, yes, it's about a girl saving her kingdom, but it's also how a bunch of small acts of kindness can come together to change the course of someone's life, you know? I think that's really like the best way I could describe it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because that's kind of how
really
she
love
does it. She brings together a bunch of people that she's, encountered before, even as an assassin. And they all help
Knight
her.
of the Seven Kingdoms.
Yeah, it's like she just brings together, but it's just like criminals and myths and people that, they thought were hidden that came out of hiding. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I'm excited. I hope that
we
I
can't
like it.
wait.
I hope you guys like it. Or at least I hope you guys find it intriguing.
Yeah. I needed a new series to start too, so maybe I'll get into it. I've been wanting to get on the Sarah J. Maas train for a long time, but my cousin kept recommending ACOTAR, and I started, and I was like, what are you talking about? And I felt bad about it because she like loves it, and I was like, I could not stand. And granted, it was the audiobook, and like that reader read every single line like it was dripping with sex.
No! Oh, that's so awkward.
uncomfortable.
No, I had a mom that
But I
I
think-
worked for that she was like, oh, have you read ACOTAR? And she saw that I brought the book to work. And she was like, have you read ACOTAR? I'm like, I remember reading that one. And I was like, no, I haven't. She was like, that was the one that was the most difficult to muscle through. I was like, Jesus.
Interesting. Okay.
to
Well,
know.
maybe Throne of Glass will be a good transition for Sam.
Yeah.
We'll see. Now, to close this out, Jen, could you just give us whatever sound comes to mind when you hear the phrase time warp?
I think that was...
yeah.
Very good. Welcome to part 2 of Show Me to Us.
We're talking about Throne of Glass, baby.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, it's been a second, and we read some Throne of Glass, both of us.
Yeah. I got, actually, let me check where I'm at.
Yeah, Sam got even more into it than I did.
Yeah, this is not a rare, but this is the flip of last time we had to do a book.
Yeah.
I got to chapter 29.
Oh my god.
I'm an audiobooker, so I don't know how many pages that is, but there's 6 hours and 36 minutes left on the book.
Yeah, wow. Okay, so first first thoughts a little bit. Like what, like overall, I don't know. Like we were, Jen told us so much about this author, about this work, about this like story. And I found out later, I mentioned it to Shana, my girlfriend, that we were reading it, and she was like, "Oh, you're reading Throne of Glass? I've read those." And I was like, "What the hell?"
Yeah, every nerdy femme person I've mentioned it to gets very excited.
Yeah. So I'm glad we kind of got into it. What were your vibes of it?
Yeah. So
just generally first, yeah.
Okay, let's see. I'm liking it. So the biggest things I have to compare to, I've been comparing it a lot to Court of Thorn and Roses, which is perhaps unfair because my cousin reminded me that Sarah J. Maas wrote Court of Thorn and Roses when she was like a teenager. I think she was like 16.
Oh my god.
Which like really comes through in the book.
Okay.
It's so in this one, obviously she wrote a lot later on. So it's a lot more mature in general in tone and whatnot. Yeah, I'm interested so far. It's
yeah. What's like stuck out to you? What's like been your favorite part so far?
So I'm going through the whole thing in my head really quick.
Yeah. Please.
She's an assassin. That's cool. I like that it's not really playing to a lot of like edgy woman like stereotypes. A lot of fantasy, probably a lot of fantasy that's written by men.
Yeah.
Whenever it portrays like a young edgy woman, falls into a lot of like stereotypes where they're just like hardened in unrealistic ways, or ways that are just like over the top, and it's such a misunderstanding of what makes like a person tough, I guess, where they'll just be mean or rude.
Yeah.
And it's not like she's cushy and friendly, but she's there's a big focus on her still being like a girl, you know, like she's a young woman, and she isn't like, she's not entirely steeled. She still has emotions, and like so there's a nuance to that I'm interested in seeing where it goes. There's kind of a mystery element that only kind of got introduced about halfway through that I'm really curious about where that goes, because there's like a fae this spoiler alert, there's like a fae realm thing that's kind of, I don't know if it's a fae realm, but there's another realm thing that's kind of starting to pop up that I like really caught my attention.
Okay.
Because until then it was pretty standard. Like, I don't want to say young adult, because I don't think it's young adult. There are some pretty mature themes that come up, but like the plot follows some pretty standard like young adult things, where there's like this game that everyone's joining in, but it's very life or death. So the introduction of that mystery element kind of really caught my attention, because it was a less, I don't want to say predictable, because that sounds judgmental, and I don't mean it in a like a negative way, but a less conventional, I guess, idea that was introduced.
Yeah, I was gonna say even early on, like the style of the writing kind of struck me like immediately. You know, having like I've read very very little fantasy in its entirety. I mean, maybe like really the first Stormlight Archive book is the first fantasy book I've read its entirety in like probably, I don't know, like 6 or 7 years or something. I read a lot more comics. Yeah, 6. I read a lot more comics and stuff. So that's like the more direct comparison I have. But I think one thing I kind of noticed that was similar to what you were saying about this main assassin character is that she's like Celaena's just so much, like she has so much personality.
Yeah.
Immediately.
She does.
And she's kind of like on top of shit in a way, like it seems like she's in control of each situation like immediately. And you kind of feel her confidence in the way that she kind of talks about situations, which I don't think I felt quite the same about with something like Stormlight Archive. Stormlight Archive is almost like it's kind of describing what happens and kind of getting you to the next point, and like boom, 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 and there's a description of people's inner thoughts, but I don't know if I feel a lot as much initial personality as I do with Throne of Glass.
Well, I think there's a perspective difference. I forget the actual words for it, but Throne of Glass is it's giving us more of an internal, I think, perspective. Like whenever we're on Selena's point of view, we're getting more of her thought process, and it's a little bit less reliable, which is something I actually think is really interesting, because there are moments where she's very confident that we get shown later she shouldn't have been that confident, or something like that. So it's
because I'm a decent chunk into the book, but I'm not to the Fae stuff you were talking about either.
Yeah. Sorry, drink water. And I think Stormlight is a lot more omniscient in general.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
Trying to remember where I was going with that. But I see what you're saying. She does have a lot of personality. I think she's written well. I like her character.
Yeah, me too.
Which I haven't really put much thought into until just now. Because she's kind of abrasive and sassy, but in a way that's pretty likable. Not that she has to be likable necessarily, but she's interesting.
Well, she kind of does have to be likable though, because you're with her so much in the beginning.
She's
you have to be you have to be into her a little bit, and I definitely am. And I get what you were saying about kind of not falling into maybe male inspired ideas of edgy strong, edgy, feminine characters.
Right.
Yeah, because she's even early on, they're kind of she's talking about I'm covered in dirt, not beautiful, and my hair is not golden and lovely like it normally is. She kind of has she's concerned, not necessarily in I keep dancing around this, but she's concerned about her appearance and values how good she looks in a way that isn't it's not
centered around the male gaze type thing.
Yeah, it just seems like she's oh yeah, I am hot as fuck also.
Ha, yeah.
You know what I mean? But
yeah,
just in a not in in a conceited way, more in just it kind of goes along with her confidence.
Yeah.
And it's not an edgy I'm she's the feminine side of her is something that she's very proud of early on, which
it's
is
still
cool.
an aspect of her character. Whereas, so often when you get those characters written by men, it's oh no, if she's tough and edgy, there's no feminism at all, or no femininity at all, rather.
Yeah, she's always talking about when she was not in this jail, when she was not, and kind of to give people an idea of the general setup, sort of, at least from our perspective. I know we talked about it a little bit in the episode before with Jen, but we have this. She's 18, I think, right?
Yeah.
This assassin, this famed assassin, Selena, who is
Selena Sardathian, which is a cool fucking name.
Yeah, so cool. And she's been captured, but no one in the real world knows who she is. She's still known as this assassin, but people don't know that she's this young girl.
They know her name, but they don't know what she looks like.
Yeah, and they don't know that she's a younger girl. And this there's this captain of the guard guy, Chael, because I assume it's the old English spelling of jail.
In the audiobook, they pronounce it Chael.
Chael, interesting.
But I don't think that's the
maybe
not
I don't know.
necessarily the end all be all.
Yeah, so we have Chael, the captain of the guard, who's kind of very gruff in the beginning and pretty dismissive, but then kind of grows to her. And the prince Dorian, who immediately you're oh, there's something going on here.
My man Dorian. I don't know why, but I always have a soft spot for the. Well, this might reveal things about my own nature, but I have a soft spot for the rich kid, but they turn out to be pretty cool. Adeline in Stormlight, my favorite character.
Oh, fascinating.
But it's always they gotta get humbled, they can't.
Yeah. Well, in Dorian, he's a prince, and he's a little like he has a little bit of arrogance, but like it seems like he kind of knows he's self-aware a little bit. It seems
For
like.
sure, yeah, he's aware of his position.
Yeah, and he basically brings her out of jail to like hire her to be the assassin for the king, right?
Well, they're doing a competition.
Well, yes, but she might be the assassin for the king, but in order to like prove herself, she has to do this competition against like these other like thieves and assassins to like become the king's like person, champion. Champion, yeah. So that's kind of the setup, and she's kind of. Yeah, she's kind of just like, like, I guess, like, I'll totally do it. I'll, like, demolish all these people.
Because the choice is, like, you either stay in this prison and die here, or you come and do this and are freed by the end of your service, which will be, like, several years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this is a really small detail. Sorry, I'm going back a topic or two. But I like that she's blonde. Just because the natural choice whenever you get edgy assassin archetype is to give him dark features all the time.
Yeah, it's like raven haired, like
exactly,
like has a scar.
And every time they mention her golden hair, I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool. Like I just think it's a neat choice for like an assassin.
Yeah, she's kind of just this like yeah, she's like an assassin, but she's like this gorgeous princess, like hot baddie also.
Yeah,
which is cool. I totally get why. I totally get why this series is popular, and I was looking this up because I wasn't sure. This it seems like this like kind of it seems like this falls a little bit into romantasy.
Yes. Oh, yeah,
there's definitely some yearning, some sexual tension, quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. It continues through and it's interesting. I'm generally really I really hate love triangles, to be honest. Not because I don't like when friends are unkind to each other, and I hate the whole like stereotype of like, the two guys who have been friends their whole life are suddenly like at each other's throats because they both like this woman.
Yeah,
it just bothers me because I'm like, you guys are friends. Come on, guys. Like,
but that's real though. I don't know. I feel like love triangles happen all the time.
It's good drama, you know.
Yeah,
but. It just makes me upset. Like,
yeah, they need conflict, but yeah, it sucks when it's friends.
And so far, though, they are still like, it's not like they're still friends, and that like I like that. There's another thing. Fucking Stormlight does an excellent job of that too. I just keep on talking about Stormlight. I won't. Do
yeah, bouncing all over.
But I'm curious to see where that goes, because there's definitely a lot of sexual tension between the three of them. Between two of them, it's more realized. Although this is a big spoiler, I was at Scarlet a couple weeks ago, which is a popular lesbian bar in Chicago.
Yep.
And struck up a conversation with this woman about it. She was so excited that I was listening to it.
Wow.
And I was like telling them how like I didn't love ACOTAR, and I think she kind of assumed that it was because of the like sex in ACOTAR, which I'm not bothered by that. But she was like, yeah, they don't even fuck until book 3, and I was like, oh, okay, good to know. So like nothing, it's all just tension right now.
Yeah, but I mean, I will say, like, yeah, the tension is good.
It's fun tension.
It's really juicy, and it's not like it's. I feel like in fantasy, a lot of the times in fantasy settings, I mean, we talked about this a little bit with Stormlight. Like, there's so much like restraint of like different classes and hierarchies, and then like when something happens, it's such a big deal. And so, but this is kind of. This is almost like it's slow burning, but it's starting at a higher level and then slower burning. Does that make sense?
They're less coy about it. They're more like, he's kind of hot. It feels, I realized my issue with ACOTAR was that it was very immature in ACOTAR, which makes sense because she wrote it when she was fucking 16, which I forgot on the first half of this episode. I'm sorry, Sarah J. Maas. And it's a lot more mature in this one, and that was why I love the romance in Stormlight too, is because it's very like between fucking Dalinar and Navani. And in Throne of Glass, it's a lot more mature because they're not not real. They're not pretending like they actually hate each other. They're like, oh yeah, no, I think he's hot. Like I'd like to kiss him.
Yeah, and then like, but I think in a way that's more realistic to me because you're like, oh, like you, like there is like, I think it's more honest to like an initial attraction.
Yeah.
Which feels like almost like more grounded to me and therefore like more compelling. I don't know, but and just like you were saying, like I think I really like this like more inner thought, a little bit less omniscient viewpoint because you really feel closer to these characters. I think Selene is my favorite so far. Obviously, I mean, she's just so cool.
She is. She's interesting. I'm curious to get more from Dorian personally, just because I just find the whole dynamic of like rich guy who comes from like a privileged background but still does the right thing, or like tries to do good. You know what I mean? That's like, yeah. I just think that's compelling because it's not what you typically get from those like archetypes of like the rich kid. You know?
Yeah, it's like where are you getting your morality from if you're this rich kid?
Yeah. So yeah, and I'm curious about the whole like there's magic is starting to get introduced where I'm at with the book right now. I'm curious to see where that goes. Because I haven't read. I will say I am gonna finish this book. I've only got 6 hours left, and I just want to see at least where the first.
Yeah,
book
I am
goes.
too. I definitely am too. Even if I'm not even that as far into it.
I don't remember how many books are in this series. Do you? It's like a lot, I think.
Oh, it's a lot, I think.
And I'm curious because so often when you get really long series, you get so much nuance from the characters because you're with them for so long.
7 books.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna finish this one and see how I feel and see if I'm compelled to start the next one, and I might.
Yeah.
I'm curious, and the stakes just got when the magic stuff gets introduced, the stakes get risen a lot higher because it's just about the competition for most of the book until. Do you mind a spoiler?
No, please.
So she has a dream where she meets like some long 1,000-year-old dead queen, and the queen's like, "There's something really evil in this castle," and then there's these magical gargoyles that start killing people, and she's like, "You have to deal with the evil thing," and then she wakes up like, "What the fuck?"
Oh, what the hell?
So that got me excited because it's like suddenly the stakes just got fucking just like jumped a bunch.
Yeah. Huh.
So I'm at least curious to hear more about that. Yeah, I'm interested. It hasn't like fully got me going yet. Like I keep on relating it to Stormlight just because Stormlight's like my favorite fantasy series of all time. Stormlight within the first like half of that first book had like 2 or 3 moments that I was like yelling and I was like, fuck yeah. This one's a little bit slower of a burn for me, but I'm interested enough to keep going.
Well, I will say even with Stormlight, like there were, I didn't have those hell yeah moments until maybe the last like 1/4 of the book.
The last 4th of the first book is really exciting.
Yeah, so there could be like I think that's a common thing with fantasy, just like this like kind of like this slower burn of things.
And there has to be a lot of setup because you're getting introduced to a whole new world and a whole set of characters.
Well, and that's another thing I like about this is that there's like an element of sorry, my dog's barking in the background.
Hi, Banjo.
There is like an element of I like that the scope of this is somewhat small in the beginning.
Yeah,
that is very appealing.
Agree with that. Yeah.
I think a lot of fantasy stuff starts so big and so massive and just kind of dives you in, and you just kind of like for the first like 5 or 6 chapters you just go like, yeah, okay, you're just saying a lot of words and regions and I don't know what the fuck that is, but I'm just gonna keep reading, and then eventually I'll like osmose what this means. But like you don't like really like from what I've read so far, I'm just kind of like, oh yeah, I totally get everything.
She really gives you only what you need, which is I think a really successful move on the like part of a fantasy writer, because I think you're right. I think so many fantasy writers try to give you exposition about how the way their entire world works right out the gate.
Yeah, and they're like, these are the 7 gods that formed these 8 regions, like, and these and this, and after the reckoning, the cultures went this way and that way, and this religion formed and died, and you're like, oh god.
Instead of just like letting the story happen within this world that's like set, like letting these people have their lives in it's more real that way because it's not novel to them that they live in this world. Like,
well, and she starts so isolated. Like there's no other characters except for her, and she's just in jail. So there's not a lot of like, she's not like, I don't know, she's not like walking through a marketplace and then like being like, I see the members of this cult, very concerning, this cult, because they're this and this. You know what I mean? Like there's less of like exposition like weaved into like people seeing things.
There is some like, but the thing is, it gets only explained when you need to know it. Like, there's a character she meets later on where she learns that he's from a specific region, and she's like, he would be from one of these regions because of this, and this. And I'm like, oh, so actually, she's doing it. I didn't even really think about this until now. She's doing a really good job of like layering over those the world building.
Well, and it kind of just like, I mean, wrap things up, at least for me. Like, I think if you are interested in fantasy and haven't read a lot of fantasy like recently or ever, I feel like this is actually like, I don't know if I'd recommend Stormlight to people that like haven't read fantasy in a while, because like it is like you really do have to get through like the first like, I don't know, quarter of the book before you start really like kind of getting it and getting why it's good. Yeah, but like this I would genuinely recommend to people for like their first fantasy book to like, not because it's like easy or less like dense exactly, but just like the way that she opens things up is really easy to get into.
She works you into the world a lot smoother
than
a lot of people do.
And this is another thing. Oh my god, I love short chapters, man. Her
chapters are so short. It's actually wild. She had one that was like, I don't have the book, but I'm guessing it maybe a page long. And I was
it's so great. I don't know what it is. Like,
it helps you feel like you're progressing.
And flipping, like, book readers, shout out. Pour one out for these book readers. Whenever you're reading a book and you get to a page that like is the end of a chapter, and so like that the bottom half or the bottom third of the book of that page is just blank because you're flipping to a next chapter.
Yeah.
Oh, that feels so good.
It's like good pacing. Like, I feel like the pacing in Throne of Glass is pretty good.
Yeah, and just like visually seeing that like you're ending a chapter and going to a next one, you're just like, oh, yes.
That's
like,
what I'm saying.
I don't know.
There are elements of the structure of this story that do feel, and I'm not saying this in a negative way because I love young adult novels, but structurally it feels similar to young adult novels in its like pacing and its story structure, but the themes and the characters are a lot more mature than like your average, which is why I'm so curious about like later books in it, because that's gonna like, it's just gonna get more and more nuanced, and it's not gonna be able to stick to that classic like young adult structure. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and also just people know, I mean, obviously support Sarah J. Maas, but I did find a version of the book like totally. I found a free PDF online.
Nate, would you download a car?
Yeah, I download a car. So I mean, Sarah J. Maas is probably doing great, guys.
She's doing excellent. She's one of the highest selling fantasy authors of all time.
and also, the length is not too intimidating. It's only it's like 500 pages, something like that.
That is an issue with Stormlight. It's an incredibly intimidating book.
Jesus, yeah. So yeah, if you're into fantasy, you're into like D&D, into other things, but you want to like get some fantasy reading in, this is a great one to kind of get back into it. I think if you're wanting to get back into it.
Really quick side note, also, I'm so curious about the choice of having a castle made out of glass. Like, they talk about it, but they don't touch on why. Why they have and I thought Throne of Glass was going to be like a metaphor. This castle's made out of glass.
I felt the same way.
I was like, oh, why? And I really hope that we explain.
Better not be throwing any stones at it.
That's what they say about glass houses and shit.
Well, any last thoughts, Sam? I really loved getting into this.
Yeah, I love fantasy in general.
Yeah.
And I know people talk about Sarah J. Maas all the time, and I was disappointed when I tried to read ACOTAR, because I was like, damn, I don't want to hate something that everyone else loves.
Yeah.
Because it makes me feel like I talk so much about like feeling like. I like learning what people like about things.
Yes.
So it made me sad that I disliked it so much. So I'm liking that this is something that I can continue learning about and like talking to people about.
Yeah.
I especially, and I'm getting tangential now, but I especially like getting into things that help me connect with people that I otherwise wouldn't.
Yeah.
And like I love my fantasy books. I do err on the side of very fantasy books that are like typically liked by men. I will say,
totally.
Which there's not an issue with, but it just means that I can't connect with them with as many of like my femme friends who are really into Saturday Mass. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, and just a reminder again, y'all, to like let people talk about the things they love to you.
Yeah,
because it means a lot to them, and then you'll learn more about yourself and them through it.
Yeah, just try things, man.
Yeah,
get into things. Liking things is cool.
Sam, you want to take us out? You don't have to do that.
I know, I gotta find a new thing to do. What else can I do? I don't have other things that make noise aside from my nail jar or my piano. I have nunchucks, but those don't really make noise. I have a ukulele. Hold on.
Taking us out today is just Sam's ADHD brain. Just like a processing of it.
I have an empty milk carton. I have to remember to fill my milk, so this is my reminder to fill my milk. This is a lot less percussive than I was hoping it would be.
Any episode with a reminder of refill your milk, guys.
Refill your milk, guys.
Yeah, and next week we'll be back with some dubstep and EDM music.
Yeah,
very fun episode. We're so excited about it. We'll see you guys soon.
If you don't have milk, you have to drink black coffee like I did this morning.
See you later, guys.
Show me to us, Rachel. Ow!